Hello students, myself Abhi Kumar Sharma from the Department of Agriculture. Now I am starting with your next topic, that is skin structure and heat regulation. And this topic is of your zoology subject. So in this lecture we will talk about the skin structure, the different type of layers present within a skin, that is the outer layer of our animal body that protects from some external shocks and attacks. So here we will discuss first about the layers of skin, that is epidermis, dermis and subcutaneous layer, that is hypodermis. You can see here this in this diagram, there are the epithelial layer of stratified squamous epithelial cells, then under this dense irregular connective tissues, then at the last you can see the adipose tissue, the tissues for fat storing purpose. So from very first layer, that is epidermis, now we will talk about the epidermis. So first of all, look at the diagram. This epidermis layer, then dermis, then subcutaneous layer. There are hairs, then sweat glands, then capillaries, vessels, all these are present over here. So what are the characteristics of epidermis? It lack blood vessels, keratinized, that is thick on palm and soles. आप देखते हो आपके हाथों की तलियां और जो आपकी पैर के सोल्स होते हैं बहुत ज़्यादा थिक होते हैं. तो ये जो हमारे आउटर साइड सेल्स होते हैं एपिडर्मिस के, वो बहुत सारे थिक हो जाते हैं, उनमें कैराटीन होता है. सो इन दैट दे आर वेरी थिक. Then melanocytes provide melanin. Melanin is a pigment that is responsible for the color of the skin. If it is more, then skin would be black in color. If it is in small quantity, then skin is very bright and very good in color, that is having fair in color. Then melanocyte provide melanin, the rest on basement membrane. These melanocytes sites mean cells present over the basement membrane, the stratified squamous epithelium. The next layer is the that is epidermis. Epidermis further having 5 layers, that is stratum corneum, then stratum lucidum, then stratum granulosum, then stratum spinosum, and the stratum basilae. These are the 5 layers of epidermis. Here in this diagram you can see the different 5 layers, that is first corneum, then lucidum, then granulosum, then spinosum, then at the last basal, then basal, and with basal there is a layer, that is basement membrane, and under basement there is dermal papillae, and under dermal papillae there is a dermis. Then next is the skin and its tissues and their functions. Skin provide protection as a physical barrier from water loss, from injury, and from chemicals and microorganisms. Then chemical barrier, it is having pH that is 5 to 6. It maintain neutral pH of the skin is always in neutral, having a neutral pH. It prevent microorganism growth also. This is one of the best function of skin that prevent diseases or growth of the microbial pathogens. Then biological barriers, Langerhans cells of epidermis, then macrophages and mast cells of the dermis, then that capture the antigens from the outside, and after killing it send it out of the body. Then second function is skin excretion, then minimal most of from through kidney. ज़्यादातर तो excretion हमारी कहाँ से होती है, किडनी के थ्रू, बट minimal amount of secretions take place also through these skins, that is in the urea and uric acid in the form of sweat. Regulation of body temperature, it is the most important function of the body or of the skin. We will further discuss it in details, how it maintain or regulate the body temperature. Then cutaneous sensation, So having different type of sensations present, different type of nerve cells present within the skin, like light touch detection. Then Messner's corpuscles. These are egg shaped, located in dermal papillae, populate area in the fingertips, palms, soles, eyelids, tips of tongue, nipples, sclerotis, tip of penis. So these light touch detections and these Messner's corpuscles are present. Then pressure detection, that is Pacinian corpuscles. These are onion shaped, located in deep dermis and subcutaneous regions. Then free nerve ending, that is respond to the temperature change or to the factor that can damage tissue, extend into the epidermis. Then fifth function is vitamin D synthesis. So UV rays and the sunlight activates its synthesis. Skin synthesis vitamin D is required for bone homeostasis. Homeostasis means keep body temperature normal. So bones का temperature नॉर्मल रहता है ड्यू टू सिंथेसिस ऑफ विटामिन डी. Then blood reservoir, then dermis house about 10% of the body's blood vessels. Then skin only requires 1 to 2% of the body's blood. So dermis is the store body blood vessels, and it also known as the blood reservoir. Then immunity, it provides immunity, that is Langerhans cells, that is macrophages, that fight against the antigens, then interact with T helper cells of the immune responses. It also helps T helper cells to create immunity in the skin and in its tissues. Here is the diagram showing this different granules present in the skin and epidermis and dermis. Epidermis having cellular extension of melanocytes, that is brown in color, pigment granules small. Then Golgi apparatus macros, melanocytes that produces melanin pigment. Then basement membrane, that is purple in color. Accessory structure of the skin originate from the epidermis and इंक्लूड हेयर फॉलिकल्स. जो हमारी बेसिक स्किन की जो स्ट्रक्चर है वो ओरिजिनेट कहाँ से होती है, हमारी एपिडर्मिस से. सो इट इंक्लूड हेयर फॉलिकल्स, नेल्स एंड स्किन ग्लैंड्स. सो हेयर फॉलिकल्स, द एपिडर्मल सेल्स दैट फॉर्म अ ट्यूब लाइक स्ट्रक्चर दैट एक्सटेंड इनटू द डर्मिस having 3 part: hair shaft, hair root and hair papillae. So that is the cell that move upward and away from the nutrient supply become keratinized and die. जो हमारी ऊपर वाली सेल्स होती हैं बिल्कुल आउटर, वो थोड़े हार्ड हो जाते हैं, डाई हो जाते हैं, वो कैरेटेनाइज्ड हो जाते हैं वो. सो दे आर हार्ड इन form. Then pigments include eumelanin, then is brownish black, or pheomelanin, that is reddish yellow. Then erector pili muscles, a bundle of smooth muscles associated with every hair follicle, cause hair to stand on the end, goosebumps when frightened or cold. So some smooth muscles are also present with hair follicles that are helpful to stand on ends when frightened or cold. जब आप डरे हो, जब आपको ठंडी हो तो आपके गूज बम्स खड़े हो जाते हैं. Same then is nails, the epithelium undergo keratinization. So epithelial जो cells होते हैं वो keratinized हो जाते हैं. Ultimately they will take the take the form of nails, that is 3 parts: nail plate, nail bed, lunula. Then functions: manipulation, protection of digits ends. Then subcutaneous glands, that is holocrine gland, simple cuboidal epitheliums होते हैं ये, इनकी cubical shape होती है, associated with every hair follicle. secretion क्या करते हैं ये, sebum secrete करते हैं, that is oil, that is basically fat or cellular material. Then sebum is secreted into hair follicles. जो सीबम है हमारा ऑयल है वो सिक्रीट होता है हेयर फॉलिकल्स में. तो सीबम का फंक्शन क्या होता है, ये स्किन और हेयर्स को सॉफ्ट रखता है, लाइबल होता है और वर्चुअली वाटरप्रूफ रखता है. देन स्वेट ग्लैंड्स 2 टाइप्स हैं बेस्ड ऑन ग्रेनुलर सिक्रीशन. एक्राइन ग्लैंड, that is structure coil in deep dermis, duct in dermis, pore at surface. Characteristics: response to elevated temperature and exercise, no odor in secretion, function throughout life, not associated with hair follicles, location forehead, neck, back. Secretion, that is merocrine, water plus सॉल्ट एंड वेस्टेज. जो स्वेट होती है उसमें हमारे पास वाटर के साथ साथ सॉल्ट और वेस्ट भी होता है, वेस्ट इन द फॉर्म ऑफ यूरिया एंड यूरिक एसिड. देन इट इज़ द स्ट्रक्चर शोइंग एपिडर्मिस एंड डर्मिस. एपिडर्मिस हैविंग hair follicles and pores, and dermis having dermal papillae, subcutaneous gland that secrete oils, the subcutaneous, then duct, then carine sweat glands, then apocrine sweat glands. These are the 2 types of glands that produce sweat. Then sweat gland on pseudophorus glands. पहले हमारी कौन थे एक्राइन ग्लैंड. ठीक है, एक्राइन ग्लैंड्स हमारे क्या थे, डीप थे, डर्मिस में डक्ट थी, पोर ऑन एट सरफेस था. बट नाउ नेक्स्ट वी आर टॉकिंग अबाउट एपोक्राइन स्वेट ग्लैंड्स. एपोक्राइन स्वेट ग्लैंड्स टर्मिनेट इनटू हेयर फॉलिकल्स. यू कैन सी ये टर्मिनेट होते हैं हेयर फॉलिकल्स में, ये डायरेक्टली थे हमारे. और इनके करैक्टरिस्टिक्स क्या हैं, ये स्ट्रेस और इमोशंस में रिस्पॉन्ड करते हैं. ऑर्डर इन सिक्रीशन, बीइंग इन फंक्शन एट पबर्टी एंड कंटिन्यू थ्रू आउट द लाइफ. और इनकी बिगनिंग कब होती है, एट द टाइम ऑफ पबर्टी, एट दैट इज व्हेन सेक्सुअल मैच्योरिटी कम्स. देन एसोसिएटेड विद हेयर फॉलिकल्स, लोकेशन एक्सिलरी रीजन एंड Gorine secretion. Apocrine, water plus oils and cellular debris are secreted with this sweat. Modified sweat gland, that is circuminous gland, that is external ear secretion, earwax. And mammary glands, breast, produce milk. Then subcutaneous layer, that is last layer of the skin, is beneath skin. नीचे होती है स्ट्रक्चर एडिपोज टिश्यू, ब्लड वेसल. इसमें हमारी एडिपोज टिश्यूज़ और ब्लड वेसल होते हैं. देन फंक्शन इंसुलेशन, दैट इज़ इंसुलेटर्स आर दोज आर नॉट अलाउ टू पास एनी करंट अक्रॉस देम और एनीथिंग एज. Then regulation of body temperature, this is the main topic of our syllabus. In the regulation of body temperature, the body temperature balance between heat production and heat loss. So keep the body temperature normal. At rest, the liver, heart, brain and endocrine organs account for most heat production. During vigorous exercise, the heat production from the skeletal muscles can increases up to 30 to 40 times. Normal body temperature is 36.2 degrees Celsius. Optimum enzyme activity occur at this temperature, but the temperature spikes above this range denature proteins and depress neurons. So here you can see the balance, how we can maintain a body temperature, normal heat production and heat loss. How heat produced by the basal metabolism, muscular activity, then thyroxine and epinephrine stimulating effect on metabolic rate, temperature effect on cells, how heat loss through radiations, conduction and convection and evaporation. So core and shell temperature, that is the organs in the core, that is within the skull, thoracic or abdominal cavity, have the highest temperature. The shell, essentially the skin, has the lowest temperature. So blood serves as a major agent of the heat transfer between the core and the shells, that is core internal organ to the shell, that is up to the skin. तो जो ब्लड है वो हमारी जो कोर हमारी ज़्यादा टेम्परेचर हाई होता है और स्किन पे है टेम्परेचर लो होता है. ब्लड उसको सर्व करके कोर और शेल में क्या बैलेंस क्रिएट करता है. द कोर टेम्परेचर मीन्स रिलेटिवली कांस्टेंट वाइल shelf temperature fluctuates substantially, that is 20 to 40 degrees Celsius. Then mechanism of heat exchange, how heat exchange take place with the mechanism having radiation, conduction, convection and evaporation. That is in radiation, loss of heat in the form of infrared rays, then conduction and transfer heat by direct contact, and then convection, transfer heat by to its surrounding air, evaporation due to the loss in the form of vapors or water from the lungs, mouth, mucosa and skin, insensible heat loss. Evaporative heat loss becomes sensible when the body temperature rises and the sweating produced increase water for evaporation. Then role of hypothalamus, that is hypothalamus, it is the part of the brain, and the main thermoregulation center is the prepubic region of the hypothalamus. The heat loss and heat promoting centers comprising the thermoregulatory centers. The hypothalamus receive input from the thermoreceptor of the skins and the core and respond initiating appropriate heat loss and the heat promoting activities. So heat promoting mechanism, that is you can see the heat loss mechanism. First of all, I want to discuss this diagram, then you come to know how heat loss and heat promoting mechanism works. So with the hypothalamus, in the heat promoting, the low external temperature and low temperature of circulating blood activates heat promoting center of the hypothalamus to cause, जो हमारी ब्लड का टेम्परेचर अगर लो है तो वो क्या करेगा, वैसो कंस्ट्रक्शन ऑफ क्यूटेनियस ब्लड वेसल्स. वैसो कंस्ट्रक्शन मतलब जो हमारी ब्लड वेसल्स हैं वो क्या कर जाएंगी, कंस्ट्रिक्ट सिकुड़ जाएंगी. सिकुड़ने से क्या होगा, मेटाबॉलिक रेट इंक्रीज़ होगा, शिवरिंग होगी, तो वो क्या है, थायरॉक्सिन रिलीज़ होगा, जिससे हमारी जो कूल टेम्परेचर है वो क्या हो जाएगा, हीट में चेंज हो जाएगा. सो हीट लॉस के बीच में क्या होगा, जो हाइपोथैलेमस में वैसोडाइलेशन होगी. जो अगर द कोर है, जो टेम्परेचर व्हेन द कोर टेम्परेचर राइजेज, हीट लॉस सेंटर इज़ एक्टिवेटेड. जो हीट लॉस सेंटर एक्टिवेट हो जाता है वो हमारे ब्रेन पे जाता है भैया. तो ब्रेन पे जाने के बाद हमारे हाइपोथैलेमस में, तो वो क्या कर देता है, वैसोडाइलेशन ऑफ ब्लड वेसल, जिससे स्वेटिंग होती है. स्वेटिंग होने से क्या होता है, जो वॉलंटरी मेजर्स कॉमनली टेकन टू रिड्यूस द बॉडी हीट इंक्लूड रिड्यूसिंग एक्टिविटी एंड सीकिंग द कूलर इन्वायरमेंट, वेयरिंग लाइट कलर्ड एंड लूज फिटिंग क्लोथ्स. तो जो हमारी वैसोडाइलेशन की वजह से क्या होता है, जो ब्लड की स्वेटिंग होना शुरू हो जाती है और जो मेटाबॉलिक रेट है वो हमारा डाउन होना जाता है, जिससे डाउन होने से इजीली बॉडी टेम्परेचर भी डाउन हो जाता है. So this is the whole mechanism shown in this figure, that how hypothalamus can do vasoconstriction, and then the last you can see here the how vasodilation takes place, and ultimately they will help or they produce hemostasis, that is normal body temperature. Keep it at 35 to 37 degrees, in between 37 degrees Celsius. So hyperthermia that is the normal heat loss process become ineffective and elevated body temperature depress the hypothalamus. This step up the positive feedback mechanism and sharply increasing the body temperature and metabolic rate. This condition is called heat stroke and can be fatal and if not corrected. So next, heat exhaustion, then heat associated collapse after vigorous exercise. So evidenced by elevated body temperature, mental confusion and fainting due to dehydration and low blood pressure. Heat loss mechanism are fully functional and can progress to heat stroke if the body is not cooled and rehydrated. Then the fever, this is due to the control hyperthermia, and they often result in infection and number of allergic reactions, central nervous system injury. White blood cells injure tissue cells and the macrophages release pyrogen that act on the hypothalamus, causing release of prostaglandins. Prostaglandin reset the hypothalamic thermostat. The higher set point is maintained until the natural body defense serves the disease process. And the hypothermia, low body temperature, very dangerous if core body temperature drop below 94 degree Fahrenheit. Limbs can withstand about 65 degree Fahrenheit because they contain no vital organ. Thank you very much. This is all about the skin structure and heat regulation in the skin.